John Miller wiped his sweaty palms on his pants for the third time. The air in the massive chamber felt too thin, too cold. Around him, hundreds of alien beings filled the curved seats of the Galactic Council Hall. Some had too many eyes. Others had none at all. Some looked almost human. Others defied description. John had spent 20 years as a diplomat for Earth. He had solved fights between nations and stopped wars with his words. But nothing had prepared him for this day. Today, he would speak for all humans to the most powerful group in the galaxy. "They're watching you," whispered his aide, Ben Harris. "Try to look confident." John nodded and straightened his back. His blue suit felt too tight now. The Earth had only found out about faster-than-light travel 8 months ago, when a small alien ship crashed in the Arizona desert. The pilot, a friendly creature named Zorb, told them about the Galactic Council before he died from his wounds. Earth had worked day and night to rebuild Zorb's ship. They studied its engine and, in a miracle of human ingenuity, created their own FTL drive within months. John's ship, the EDS Friendship, had made the journey to the Council's meeting place in the star system humans called Ta Ceti. Earth Representative John Miller boomed a voice from speakers near the ceiling. "You may approach the speaking circle." John walked forward on shaky legs. The floor lit up beneath his feet with each step. From the observation deck above, Admiral Susan Wright of the Earth Defense Fleet watched with her hands gripped tight behind her back. Beside her stood Dr. Alan Peters, the scientist who had cracked the secret of the alien engine. "We should be celebrating," Susan whispered. "Why do they all look so serious?" In the center of the room, John cleared his throat and began his carefully prepared speech. "Honored members of the Galactic Council, I bring greetings from Earth and all humanity. We come in peace and friendship, eager to join the—" A harsh buzzing sound cut him off. From one of the front rows, a large insect-like creature rose up. Its hard exoskeleton gleamed under the lights. 2 sets of arms moved in strange patterns as it spoke through a translator device. "I am Hist Kral of the Zeraxian Empire, first voice of the Council," it said. "This meeting is not for welcoming. It is for judgment." John felt his mouth go dry. "Judgment? I don't understand." The bug-like alien's mandibles clicked together. "Our scouts have studied your planet for many of your years. Humans fight wars over invisible borders. You poison your own air and water. Your nations still point world-ending weapons at each other. You are too dangerous to join galactic society." Susan gripped the railing on the observation deck. "They can't do this. We have rights." Below, John tried to speak again. "With respect, first voice, Earth has made great progress. Our nations work together now more than ever. The decision is made." Hest Kral interrupted. "Earth will be quarantined until deemed safe. No ships in, no ships out." A murmur spread through the chamber. Some aliens looked away as if embarrassed. Others nodded in agreement. "You can't do this," John shouted, his diplomatic training forgotten. "You can't just lock away an entire planet." "It is done," Hest Kral said, pressing a crystal on the desk before him. In that moment, across the solar system, a shimmering energy barrier appeared. It encircled Earth's sun, all its planets, and extended beyond Pluto. The barrier cut off all signals and blocked all ships. In the council chamber, a large screen showed the barrier forming. Susan Wright slammed her fist on the railing. "This is an act of war," she hissed. Dr. Peters put a hand on her arm. "No, Admiral. This is a challenge. And if there's one thing humans are good at, it's beating challenges." John stood alone in the speaking circle, his hands clenched into fists. The aliens around him didn't understand what they had just done. They thought they were being wise, keeping a dangerous species safely locked away. Instead, they had just made an enemy of the most resourceful, determined, and vengeful species in the galaxy. Earth would not forget this day. Earth would not forgive. And when humans finally broke free, because they would break free, The Galactic Council would learn why isolating humanity was the worst mistake they had ever made. 5 years passed since the energy barrier trapped Earth. The people of Earth called it the Wall. At first, there was panic. Riots broke out in major cities. Food became scarce as farmers struggled with new weather patterns caused by the wall's effect on sunlight. But humans did what they always do when faced with a problem. They adapted. They got to work. Dr. Olivia Green stared at the computer screen until her eyes hurt. The small office deep under the Rocky Mountains was cold, but she didn't notice. She was too focused on the data streaming in from the satellites watching the wall. "Dr. Green, you should sleep," said her assistant, Hall. He placed a cup of coffee next to her keyboard. It was his 5th attempt to get her attention. Olivia ran a hand through her messy brown hair and finally looked up. "I'll sleep when we're free, Paul." She had been a regular physics professor when the wall appeared. Now she led the most important research team on the planet. President William Carter had given her a simple mission: find a way through the wall. She hadn't been home in 3 months. "I think I found something," she said, pointing to a pattern in the numbers. "The wall pulses every 67 hours. There's a tiny drop in its strength. It's not much, but it might be enough." Paul leaned closer. "Enough for what?" "Enough to send a signal through. Maybe even enough for a small ship to slip past." 500 miles away, in what used to be a football stadium in Texas, General Frank Martinez watched his soldiers train. The stadium floor had been converted into a mock-up of an alien city based on images captured before the wall went up. Men and women in new battle suits jumped from building to building. These weren't regular soldiers. They were part of Earth's Star Forces, a military unit created specifically to fight aliens. Again, Frank shouted when one soldier missed a jump. "The gravity on the Zeraxian homeworld is 1.3 times Earth's. You need to compensate." The soldier nodded and tried again, making the jump perfectly this time. Frank checked his watch. He had a meeting with Kate Lawson in an hour. She was building Earth's new ships in secret bases carved into asteroids. The aliens thought the wall stopped at Pluto, but they were wrong. Humans had already been mining the Kuiper Belt beyond. The wall had missed some of their most distant outposts. These outposts now built warships. Not the friendly exploration vessels Earth had planned to send into space before the wall, but weapons of war. Meanwhile, in London, Ben Harris sat before the United Earth Council. The room was packed with representatives from every nation. "We've united more in 5 years than in all of human history," Ben said. "Old enemies now work together. We have one currency, one military, one goal." The Chinese representative stood up. "What about the alien signal we captured last month? Have we decoded it?" Ben nodded. "Yes, it wasn't meant for us. It was sent by a species called the Nezdari to the Zeraxians. The Nezdari are worried about the wall. They think it's wrong to trap us. So we have potential allies out there," said the representative from Nigeria. "Better than that," Ben replied with a small smile. "We have a divided enemy. The Council isn't as united as they want us to believe. And now we know the names of our real enemies, the Zeraxians." In her underground lab, Olivia Green printed out her findings and headed for the elevator. She needed to tell the president immediately. The wall had a weakness, and she had found it. In the training field, Frank Martinez watched his soldiers perfect their moves. Soon, they wouldn't be just training. In space, Kate Lawson added the final touches to Earth's first true warship. She named it Vengeance. And in homes across the planet, ordinary people went about their lives, but always with one eye on the sky. The aliens thought they had contained humanity. Instead, they had forced humans to become stronger, more united, and more determined than ever before. The wall wasn't a prison anymore. It was a cocoon. And what would emerge would shock the galaxy. The day Earth broke free began like any other under the wall. But by sunset, everything would change. Lisa Chen stood on the bridge of the warship Vengeance. At 32, she was young to be a captain, But these were not normal times. She had earned her position through hard work and natural talent. Now she commanded Earth's most powerful ship. "All systems ready, Captain," said her first officer, Jack Boyd. "The fleet is in position." Lisa nodded and looked at the main screen. 30 warships waited in formation. They were hidden in the shadow of Pluto, far from the Ziraxian monitoring station near Jupiter. "Send the signal to Dr. Green," Lisa ordered. On Earth, in her underground lab, Olivia Green received the message. She took a deep breath and turned to her team. "This is it," she said. 5 years of work comes down to this moment." She pressed a button on her console. Around the solar system, hundreds of small devices attached to the wall activated at once. Each one sent out a specific frequency that Dr. Green had discovered, the wall's resonance frequency. At first, nothing happened. Then, like ice cracking on a frozen lake, the wall began to break. It started as a small hole near Pluto, where Lisa's fleet waited. Then more cracks spread across the energy barrier. "It's working," shouted Paul, jumping up from his chair. The team cheered as their screens showed the wall failing. In the presidential office in New Washington, D.C., Alan Reeves watched the live feed. As the first president of the United Earth government, he carried a heavy burden. The decision to break free and confront the Galactic Council had been his to make. "Is the broadcast ready?" he asked his communications director. "Yes, sir. As soon as the fleet moves, your message will go out to every screen on Earth." In space, Lisa Chen gave the order. "All ships, move out. Formation Delta. Remember your targets." The 30 Earth vessels passed through the hole in the wall. For the first time in 5 years, humans traveled beyond their prison. The warships activated their stealth systems, technology reverse-engineered from studying the wall itself. The Ziraxian monitoring station never saw them coming. The aliens had grown lazy and comfortable watching their human prisoners. They believed the wall was unbreakable. They were wrong. "Target their communications array first," Lisa ordered. "No warnings must reach the Council." The Vengeance fired its main weapon. A beam of blue energy hit the alien station, cutting through its communications dish. Before the Ziraxians could respond, Earth's fleet surrounded the station. "Surrender or be destroyed," Lisa broadcast on all frequencies. Inside the station, the Ziraxian commander stared in shock at the human warships. This was impossible. Primitives couldn't break through the wall. Yet here they were. "We surrender," the alien said through its translator. On Earth, President Reeves began his address. "People of Earth, today we break free from our unjust imprisonment. The wall is down. Our fleet is beyond the solar system for the first time since the quarantine began." Across the planet, people poured into streets to celebrate. Some cried, others laughed. Many just looked up at the sky with new hope. "But our mission is not complete," the president continued. "Today marks not just our liberation, but the beginning of humanity's retribution. The Council judged us without knowing us. Now they will learn what humanity is truly capable of." Lisa's fleet secured the entire solar system within hours. No Ziraxian escaped to warn the Council. Earth was free, and no one in the galaxy knew it yet. The next target was the Council's nearest outpost, a large space station in the Alpha Centauri system. Lisa set course, her ships moving faster than any alien vessel. Dr. Green's team had improved the engines too during those 5 silent years. "How long until we reach Alpha Centauri?" Lisa asked her navigator. "Just under 6 hours, Captain." Lisa smiled. "Good. The Council thinks we're still safely locked away. Let's show them how wrong they are." As the Earth fleet jumped to faster than light speed, Lisa thought about what would happen next. The Council had never faced a species like humans before, resourceful, determined, and now very, very angry. The galaxy was about to change forever. Ryan Cooper typed faster than most people could think. His fingers flew across 3 keyboards, each connected to a different system. At 28, he looked younger than his age with messy brown hair and a face that rarely saw sunlight. 5 years ago, he had been a college dropout who hacked systems for fun. Now he led Earth's most secret weapon, its digital warfare division. "Are you in their network yet?" asked General Martinez, standing behind Ryan's chair. Ryan nodded without looking up. "I've been inside their systems for years, General." The room fell silent. Even President Reeves, who had come to watch the operation, looked surprised. Ryan smiled at their reaction. "Did you think we just sat around during those 5 years? Every probe they sent through the wall to monitor us, we hacked it. Every communication signal they sent, we intercepted it. Their entire network is already compromised." During the 5 years of quarantine, Ryan and his team had turned the aliens' own technology against them. The Xeraxians thought they were studying humans. In reality, humans were studying them. "Show me," said President Reeves. Ryan pressed a key, and a large screen on the wall lit up with thousands of alien symbols. "This is their main defense network. It controls all their military ships, weapons, and stations." He pressed another key. "This is their food distribution system for their homeworld." Another key. "This is their banking system." General Martinez leaned forward. "And you control all of this?" "Not yet," Ryan said. "But I will in about." He glanced at his watch. 3 minutes. "I'm just waiting for Captain Chen's signal." In deep space, the Earth fleet had just arrived at the Alpha Centauri outpost. The massive space station hung in orbit around the system's second planet. It was a hub for trade, diplomacy, and military operations for the entire sector. Lisa Chen stood on the bridge of the Vengeance. "Send the signal to Earth. Operation Shadow begins now." The message traveled faster than light back to Earth. Ryan received it seconds later. "Time to show the aliens what happens when you cage humans," he said, and pressed the red key on his center keyboard. Across the galaxy, the invisible war began. On the Xeraxian homeworld, citizens suddenly found their money gone from their accounts. Food delivery systems redirected supplies away from military bases to civilian centers. Defense systems identified friendly ships as enemies. The Council's mighty fleet, just dispatched to investigate the breach at Earth's solar system, found itself crippled. Navigation computers failed. Weapons systems wouldn't fire. Life support systems began to shut down, forcing crews to abandon ship. "What is happening?" demanded the High Commander of the Xeraxian fleet. No one could answer him. In the Alpha Centauri outpost, alarms blared as systems failed one after another. The station commander ordered his troops to prepare for a human attack. "Sir, we're being hailed by an Earth vessel," reported his communications officer. "Put them on screen," the commander ordered. Lisa Chen's face appeared on the main view screen. "This is Captain Lisa Chen of the Earth warship Vengeance. Your systems are under our control. Your weapons are disabled. Your communications with the Council have been cut. Surrender the station, or we will vent your atmosphere into space." The alien commander's 4 eyes blinked rapidly in the Xeraxian expression of shock. "How is this possible? You were quarantined." "We were," Lisa agreed. "But no prison can hold humans for long, especially when the prison guards are so careless with their keys." Meanwhile, Sam Barnes, Earth's new diplomatic officer, sent messages to species who had opposed the quarantine or suffered under Council rule. "Earth does not seek war with all species," his message stated. "We want justice, not dominance. Those who stand with us will find humans to be loyal allies. Those who stand with the Xeraxians will share their fate." One by one, replies came in. The Nezdari, crystalline beings who had always questioned the quarantine, offered their support first. Then came messages from the Voltar, the Jirani, and a dozen other species. Some offered military aid. Others promised intelligence about Council weaknesses. Back on Earth, Ryan watched as his digital weapons spread through the alien networks. "The Council expected us to fight with ships and guns," he said. "They never imagined we would turn their own technology against them." President Reeves nodded. "The best revenge isn't just winning the war. It's making your enemy realize they never understood you at all. The invisible war had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council had never been so loud. Hundreds of alien delegates shouted over each other. Some stood on their seats. Others pounded their desks with various limbs. The normal order of the 5,000-year-old institution had collapsed in just 3 days. HFY, the Xeraxian delegate who had first proposed Earth's quarantine, tried to restore order. His voice boomed through the hall's speakers. Silence. We must act as one body. The humans have escaped their quarantine and must be stopped. But the other delegates ignored him. The council that had once obeyed Xeraxian leadership without question now seemed unwilling to listen. In a small side room nearby, Diane Powell watched the chaos through a video feed. Earth's newly appointed observer to the council had arrived just hours ago on a ship that openly bypassed all security checkpoints. Her presence here, in the heart of what should be enemy territory, was itself a show of Earth's new power. "They're falling apart," said her assistant, Greg Nelson. "Just as we hoped." Diane nodded. 5 years ago, they acted as one when they imprisoned us. Now look at them. On the main floor, a new speaker took the center platform. The Nezdari representative, a being made of living crystal, spoke with unexpected force. Light reflected off its transparent body as it moved. "Perhaps the humans are simply responding to an injustice we inflicted upon them," the Nezdari said. "We locked away an entire species without trial or representation. Is this the justice we claim to uphold?" Shouts of both agreement and anger followed this statement. The council chamber divided into clear factions. Near the front, the Xeraxians and their closest allies huddled together, their expressions dark. In the middle sections, many delegates looked confused and afraid. And in the back rows, some species were openly cheering the human escape. "The Xeraxians assured us the quarantine was necessary," said the delegate from Voltara, a gas giant in the Andromeda arm. "They said humans were too dangerous and unpredictable. Yet in 5 years of monitoring, what violence did we see? None. They united their planet instead of fighting each other." HFY's mandibles clicked rapidly in anger. "The humans hacked our systems. They disabled our fleets. They seized the Alpha Centauri station in less than an hour. This proves they are exactly as dangerous as we claimed." From her observation room, Diane smiled coldly. "He still doesn't get it. We didn't escape because we're dangerous. We're dangerous because they forced us to become that way." The debate continued for hours. Finally, HFY called for a vote. "I propose we commit the full council fleet to crush this human rebellion before it spreads." The voting system lit up as delegates made their choices. In the past, such votes were usually unanimous, with perhaps 1 or 2 objections. But this time, the results shocked everyone. The vote is 143 against, 97 for, with 82 abstentions, announced the council's aye. The motion fails. Silence fell over the chamber. This had never happened before. The Xeraxians had never lost a security vote in the history of the council. HFY stood perfectly still for several seconds. Then, without a word, he turned and marched out of the chamber. 12 other delegates, his closest allies, followed him. As they left, whispers began to fill the room. Ancient rivalries and grievances, long suppressed under Xeraxian rule, suddenly found voice. Species that had suffered similar isolation in the past spoke of their experiences. Others questioned what else the Xeraxians might have lied about. That night, Diane sent a simple message back to Earth. Phase 5 complete. The council is broken. President Reeves read the message in his office and turned to General Martinez. "It's time for the next phase. Send the order to Captain Chen." "Yes, sir. What about the friendly aliens?" The president considered this. "Tell them the truth. All of it. Let's see who our real friends are." In the empty council chamber, the cleaning drones moved silently through the aisles. The great galactic civilization that had stood united for thousands of years had just fractured. And the species that caused this monumental change had only known about alien life for less than 6 years. Humanity had done in days what others had failed to do in centuries. They had broken the Xeraxians' control over the galaxy. Commander Eric Daniels had seen many terrible things in his military career, but nothing prepared him for what he found on Europa 7. The small moon orbited a gas giant in a star system 10 light-years from Earth. No one knew this place existed until Ryan Cooper found it in the Xeraxian secret files. The files called it Research Station 12. They called the humans their test subjects. Eric led his team through the dark hallways of the station. The Xeraxian guards had surrendered quickly when 5 Earth ships appeared without warning. Now Eric's soldiers moved deeper into the facility, their weapons ready. "Sir, you need to see this," called Sergeant Linda West from a room ahead. Eric stepped through the doorway and froze. The large chamber was filled with rows of clear containers. Inside each one floated a human body, connected to tubes and wires. "There must be thousands of them," Linda whispered. Eric checked the nearest container. The man inside looked asleep, not dead. A small screen showed his heart was still beating. "They'd been experimenting on us," Eric said into his comm unit. "Connecting to Earth headquarters. We found thousands of humans in stasis pods. Some look like they've been here for years, even before the quarantine." Back on Earth, President Reeves listened to Eric's report with growing anger. Next to him, Dr. Nicole Harris, Earth's leading xenobiologist, was already reviewing the data being sent from Europa 7. "This is worse than we thought," she said, her face pale as she scrolled through files. "The Xeraxians have been abducting humans for decades, long before we officially met them." She pulled up more files on her screen. They were testing biological weapons on humans, studying our immune systems, trying to find our weaknesses. "Why?" asked the president. "Why target us specifically?" Nicole looked up from her screen. "Because they were afraid of us." She pointed to a section of alien text. According to these notes, the Xeraxians recognized something in humans that scared them: our adaptability. "We change and evolve faster than any species they've studied before." She continued reading. "They saw our potential. If humans joined the galactic community, we might eventually challenge Xeraxian power. So they convinced the Council to quarantine us while they worked on ways to control or destroy us." The president's hands tightened into fists. "Get me Sam Barnes. The galaxy needs to know about this." On Europa 7, Eric's team worked quickly to disconnect the humans from the alien machines. Medical staff checked each person as they woke up. "Where am I?" asked a woman as she opened her eyes for the first time in years. "The last thing I remember, I was camping in Colorado." "You're safe now," Eric told her. "We're taking you home." As they continued their search, Eric's team found more disturbing evidence. In a secure room, they discovered records of other species the Xeraxians had contained over the centuries. Some had been released back into the galaxy after being weakened or controlled. Others had disappeared completely. Earth wasn't their first target, Eric reported, just their latest. 3 days later, Sam Barnes addressed an emergency session of the Reformed Council. The Xeraxian seats remained empty. They had refused to attend. On large screens around the chamber, the evidence from Europa 7 played for all to see. "We didn't escape quarantine to conquer you," Sam said to the stunned delegates. "We escaped to reveal the truth. The Xeraxians have been manipulating galactic civilization for their own power for centuries." The chamber erupted in angry shouts as species recognized their own people in the Xeraxian files. The Volterrans discovered they had lost an entire colony to Xeraxian research. The Nezdari learned their slow birth rate was the result of Xeraxian tampering generations ago. On Earth, Nicole Harris continued studying the alien data. The Xeraxians weren't just afraid of humans, she told the president. They were afraid of any species that showed too much potential. President Reeves nodded grimly. "Then we won't just free ourselves. We'll free the galaxy from them." The truth had been revealed, and it was more terrible than anyone had imagined. But it also created something powerful, a common cause that united Earth with dozens of other species who had suffered under Zeraxian manipulation. What had begun as Earth's revenge was becoming a galactic revolution. The Zeraxian homeworld looked beautiful from space. Its purple oceans and green landmasses made it seem peaceful, but the massive fleet surrounding the planet told a different story. Admiral Patricia Grant stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Retribution. At 55, she had spent most of her life in Earth's Navy. Now she commanded the largest fleet ever assembled in the galaxy. 200 Earth warships floated alongside vessels from 24 other species. Former enemies now fought together against a common threat. "The Zeraxians are hailing us," said Communications Officer Carl Weber. Patricia nodded. "Put them on screen." The face of the Zeraxian High Commander appeared. His 4 eyes blinked nervously. "This is High Commander Frex of the Zeraxian Empire," he said. "We wish to discuss terms." Patricia's expression remained cold. "There is only one term: unconditional surrender. You have 1 hour to decide." On Earth, billions of people watched the live stream from space. President Reeves addressed the world from his office. "For 5 years, we were prisoners in our own solar system. Today, justice will be served not just for humanity, but for all species who suffered under Zeraxian rule." Exactly 53 minutes later, the message came. The Zeraxian Empire, which had ruled the galaxy for 5,000 years, surrendered. "Broadcast our terms," Patricia ordered. Carl sent the message. "All Zeraxian officials involved in the quarantine decision and human experimentation will be handed over for trial. All subjugated worlds under Zeraxian control will be freed immediately. The Zeraxian military will be disbanded." 1 month later, the newly formed Galactic Tribunal convened its first session. The Grand Hall was built on a neutral planet, with representatives from all spacefaring species in attendance. Judge Gabriella Johnson, formerly of Earth's International Court, entered the chamber alongside jurists from 12 alien civilizations. She took her seat at the center of the bench. "This tribunal is now in session," she announced. Guards led in Hest Kral and 6 other Zeraxian leaders. They looked small and afraid without their power. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Evidence from Europa 7 and dozens of other secret facilities was presented. Victims from 17 different species testified about Zeraxian crimes. On the final day, Judge Johnson delivered the verdict. "The evidence is overwhelming. The defendants are found guilty of crimes against sentient beings." The sentence: the guilty Zeraxians would spend the rest of their lives helping to rebuild the worlds they had harmed. Their wealth would be used to compensate victims. Their empire would be dissolved forever. 1 week after the trial, President Reeves addressed the reformed Galactic Council. The chamber looked different now. Instead of the Zeraxian symbols that once covered the walls, the emblems of all member species were displayed equally. "Earth will join the interstellar community," Reeves declared, "but on its own terms. Never again will humanity allow itself to be judged without representation." He looked around at the delegates. "The stars are the birthright of all intelligent life. Today marks a new era of galactic cooperation, one built on mutual respect, not fear or domination." The chamber filled with applause. Species that had barely known of each other's existence 6 months ago now stood united. After the session, John Miller, the diplomat who had stood helpless as Earth was quarantined years before, approached Susan Wright, now Earth's defense minister. "Did you ever imagine it would end like this?" he asked. Susan smiled. "This isn't an ending, John. It's a beginning." Throughout Council space, the story spread of how humanity had not only broken free from their prison, but had liberated countless other species in the process. Earth's devastating revenge hadn't been the wholesale destruction many had feared, but something far more powerful: justice, truth, and a fundamental restructuring of galactic society. The Council, once speechless with shock at humanity's escape, now found itself speechless with admiration for what humans had achieved. Across 1,000 worlds, Beings of all forms shared a single thought. Humanity had not just saved itself, it had saved the galaxy.